Hi, my name is Ryan Hansard, and I'm an ordained minister in the Wesleyan Church. And I'm pursuing a call that I feel in God's life to become an Air Force chaplain. And so in this short presentation, I'm going to share with you a little bit about my denomination, the Wesleyan Church, and also about my call to become an Air Force chaplain. So first, the Wesleyan Church is a Protestant Christian church in the holiness tradition. And the name Wesleyan comes from John Wesley, who was an Anglican priest in the 1700s. And he had this encounter with God that changed his life. And also, because his life was changed, he saw some of the hurt around him in the world and the society that he lived in. And he took active steps to make a difference in the areas where he lived. One way he did that was by preaching to the people in the coal mines and who weren't accepted by the mainstream church of the time. And he also had a big stance against alcohol because that was something that was really hurting families and really wrecking the society. And so John Wesley, his faith made a difference in his own life, but it also made a difference in the lives of those around him and the society that he lived in. And so the Wesleyan Church, has roots all the way back to John Wesley and Methodism, but it officially became a denomination in 1968 when two denominations merged together. One was the Pilgrim Holiness Church, and the other was the Wesley Methodist Church. And both of those denominations have roots that go back into the 1800s, and both were active in the abolition movement against slavery. And another thing that's exciting about the Wesleyan Church and those denominations were that they ordained women in ministry. And so I'm an active supporter of women in ministry, and I think that is an important piece of our Wesleyan heritage. Some other beliefs in the Wesleyan Church, besides the normal Christian beliefs that are held, this belief in holiness or Christ-likeness. And this is something that we believe that God enables a believer to love God and love others with their whole heart. This does not mean we can't ever sin or mess up, but this is God's love is able to transform us so that we are able to love others with God's love. And so that Christ-likeness is an important thing in our denomination, in the Wesleyan Church. Another key piece of the Wesleyan Church is this thing called prevenient grace. And that's the grace God's grace that goes before us. So what that means is that God's at work in my life even before I knew it. And so as far as ministry goes, it helps me know that God's also at work in those around me in the world. Even those who don't know him, God's grace is at work. And that helps me because it shows that God cares about all people. And I want to be somebody who reflects that care for all people, regardless of their faith, regardless if they believe in God or not. Because I know that God loves all people. And that's a key piece of our theology in the Wesleyan Church. And it's that grace that goes before that I want to talk about now that as I lead into my call to Air Force chaplaincy. I didn't grow up wanting to be an Air Force chaplain. I never even really thought about it. But I wanted to serve families as a pastor. I wanted to minister to families. And so I've been in a local church setting for about 10 years doing that, serving the local church, serving families. And about January this year, 2021, I felt that God was doing something in my life. He was stirring my heart for something different and something new. And so as I discerned that with my senior pastor at the church and other trusted leaders and mentors in my life, I really began to sense that my time here at the church that I was currently serving coming to an end. And so, but I didn't know what was next. And so as I looked into different options, one of the things that really started to come together was Air Force chaplain. I really know that the Air Force cares about families, and a big part of being an Air Force chaplain is serving airmen and their families. And also, it turns out, because of God's grace in my life, that I have all the requirements to become an Air Force chaplain already taken care of without even moving in that direction. So God was lining things up. God was working. I had my MDiv. I was ordained. I had the ministry experience. I'm under 40, I'm 38, so just barely under 40. But all these requirements, as I was looking through them, I just kept thinking, man, I have that. And this calling to become an Air Force chaplain has continued to deepen as I pursue it. And people are continuing to encourage me in that, and it's really supportive and helpful for me. And so I hope that this short presentation that I put together about the Wesleyan Church and my call to become an Air Force chaplain helps you to get to know me a little bit better, get to know our denomination a little bit better, and just thank you for this opportunity to share with you. And I hope that you have a great day, and God bless.